Barbara can record this for YouTube.
Yes. All right, see guys. I hope you watch the YouTube channel. We will post it. All right, we'll tell you when it's posted.
Hey guys, on another recording, we are recording this. My disclaimer is that there's no production crew, so there's no editing. We're just doing this all in one shot. I will apologize. You might hear a few foul words. You might see some things out of the ordinary. But if you are a cooker, a baker, and you like infused foods, you will love this, okay? Barb, I'm going to say that you can start here, but you're going to also end up over here later, okay? I'm going to get started making the recipe and going through it bit by bit by bit by bit. 2 cups flour. Now, these are scones, and I'm changing the recipe a little bit, guys. My recipe usually has a less healthier side. It's more flavor. Well, it's flavorful no matter what. But I've been asked to alter my recipe a little bit to make it a little healthier for people. So if you take a moment and look at sour cream to yogurt and compare the two because of their capabilities and being substituted one for the other. So it'll be healthier, number one, and then 2, instead of using dried raisins, I, along with Barbara last year, handpicked blueberries from a orchard just across the state line, Milbourne Orchards, if I'm not mistaken. Was that where? Yeah, it was Milbourne. Great farm, great people. They're just across the state line in Fair Hill, Maryland. I think it's Fair Hill or Elkton. I'm not sure which it is. All right, so we got our 2 cups of flour. And now the pan is a little finicky about, wanting less sugar, so to speak. It's not going to be a full 1/3 of a cup. There we go. I forgot the recipe. Apologize going on and off the screen, guys, but it's like the cookbook's over there and recipes I haven't memorized. 1/4 teaspoon baking soda. Teaspoon of baking powder. Had a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, baking soda. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Anybody who likes to cook nowadays understands. Now, one of the few things I always do is, even though it's a dry, thoroughly mix it, blend it properly, especially if you have to hand mix it later. Because if you got your salt in one spot, your sugar in another spot, and that, nothing blends evenly. So take a second or 2. I actually take about 2 minutes. And all my dry mixtures always get mixed thoroughly first before they go into a mixing bowl or getting the moist mixed in with them. Yep. All right, now it talks about your moist. And I said I'm replacing sour cream. It says a 1/2 cup of sour cream. So what I'm using is, and I stole these from my wife, and she knows I stole them. I'm using Light and Fit vanilla flavored Greek yogurt. Only 80 calories compared to sour cream, which has like 200. All right. And it says it calls for a 1/2 cup of it. So the rest is yours, Barb.
Okay.
All right. And then it says 1 large egg. These people helped. Mix your egg and your sour cream or your egg and your yogurt really, really well, because this is your binding agent technically for all the dry mix. And here are my fresh blueberries. Now it says a half a cup. I usually go a little bit more than a half a cup. That's almost a full cup. Screw it. Blueberries are good for you. We use them all. And they're frozen, so when you're mixing them, they don't go squitch. But I'm gonna let them sit out for a moment or two. We have to shave this. So and this is one of the hardest things, is you gotta shave your butter or grate it down. And this is the thing that takes the most time. So you're gonna see me start here, and then you're probably gonna see the end of it. I don't know if Barbara's actually gonna record the whole thing. Zoom in on magical butter. So, one of the things you need to know is this stick was infused with a distillate. Each stick is 1,140 milligrams. This batch of scones will make 8, maybe 10 scones. If it makes 10, it'll be a different number. But right now, the recipe, because I usually only get 8, maybe a little one off to the side, but it'll make each one of these scones approximately 140 milligrams. And it's more for pain management, so it's more your body than your head getting high. I know people are going, body high? What's a body high? No, people know. People know. So this is the most time-consuming part of the whole process. Hey guys, so almost got this done. Main thing you need to understand is a lot of this is done by hand. It's one of the reasons why batches take time. I'm a single small kitchen versus the big bakery shops you see. Now, I don't use last names, but I will give a shout out here to the gal Kel, who gave me the idea of making my scones healthier. Kelly, you know who you are, baby girl. So, this is for her and for me, because trust me, I need some healthier things. I've been doing double chocolate chip and espresso chip cookies and gumdrops. I will get a video of the gumdrops out shortly, especially if this turned out good and you guys like it. Even though I'm not using a filming crew, hopefully you'll appreciate it. You get down to the bottom nubs, you might as well just wing it. Break it up with your fingers. Make sure you can get everything you can, as best you can, off the back of the grate. Okay, recipe calls for you to mix the butter in. Now, you know, with butter and flour and stuff like this, it's going to get a little clumpy. So you got to do your best mixing best as possible. Go ahead and pause and go. So it's a lot of hand working, getting everything blended in there as best as possible.
Back.
So I've gone ahead and I blended the flour and the butter, and now I'm taking the moist and pouring it over it. Recipe says do it with a fork. I don't get results with a fork. So I do it with my hand, and it does get messy, and it does get clumpy. And you have to be willing to scrape your hands, get everything back in as best as possible, because guess what? It all has to get blended together. This is probably the messiest part of the whole thing. If you can figure out another way to do it, more power to you. This is the hardest part of the whole ordeal. Pause. Mm-hmm. So it got a little messy. This is the next best way I know of doing it. It's an old-fashioned way, but it gets everything blended together. It takes a little bit longer, but hey, you got to do what you got to do, right? You don't want your recipe screwed up. So that moist should get everything. Now you can go back and you can add a little bit more yogurt if you think it's necessary. Some people will. I will tell you, if you add more moisture to it, even if it's just another, let's just say, quarter cup, you have to take into consideration that moisture has to bake off. So if the recipe tells you 15 to 17 minutes and you've added more fluid, more moisture for your mix to get it all evened out, you have to then realize you're going to be having to cook or bake it longer, okay? I don't know how to tell it to you guys any better than that. And any baker, including Barbara, who's behind the camera, will agree that if you have to alter ingredients and add more of a liquid, it's going to take it longer to cook thoroughly. This is the hardest part of the whole recipe, guys. I ain't going to lie to you. And you're going to see me do something that's a little odd. It wastes a pair of gloves. But I've actually already had to waste a pair of gloves while making this recipe. You see my hands get into it, mash it up into a ball, get everything else. And then the blueberries will go in last.
Sugar.
But there's still a lot of powder in here, so I need to get this all blended together before I fold in the last little bit of blueberry. And so you're going to see me get into this and fight it a little bit. Got to get into that dough. And remember, when you're adding in the blueberries, they're frozen, but you're going to have to knead them into this dough that you now have created, because this is the dough that you're going to go ahead and then cut back pieces of it so that you get your 8 scones out of it. All right. Suggestion when you're folding in the blueberries, saw me knead that out a little bit and spread it out. Remember, you're working with frozen blueberries, so you should be able to go ahead and mix things around. Some scones might have more than others. Hey, stuff happens, right? For me to lay it out and divide it up evenly, okay? That doesn't always work, but I've come to the conclusion that if you know sort of what you're doing and you've been doing it a little while, you can create a scone. I used unbleached wax paper. That works too. 400 degrees on your oven, people. Okay. Oh, there is one other ingredient, and after I'm done, you're going to see me. I sprinkle raw sugar A little bit of raw sugar across the top. Yeah, and you saw how I blended them in there, guys. If you go ahead and you got one that's got more blueberries in your hand than you do the other way, take a moment, pull the blueberry out, mix it up, get some more dough, do what you got to do. You want them to try to be as even as possible in regards to the ingredient mix, but you know for a fact when you're blending things, especially anybody who's been a baker or in the kitchen for a while, sometimes cookie got more chocolate chips than the other one. Yeah, this one's the same principle. Might have a little bit